Hello everybody and welcome to part 2 of my video on the AQA GCSE English language exam with specific reference to question 3 on paper 1. In part 1 I guided you through what you needed to do in order to achieve full marks on this question, and we started to look at some useful sentence starters we could use for our point, quote, explain paragraphs. And what I plan to do in this part is to go through some useful effects you can learn and also go through an example paragraph for this question. We looked last time at the War of the Worlds extract, and I'd like to look at that in a little bit more detail in a paragraph that's broken down, and I'm also going to give you an exercise you can do at the end of the video. So we talked about structural features last time and the kind of structural features you can pick out of any extract that you're given. We also looked at this paragraph structure for question 3, which you can get as a download on my website asiaexams.wordpress.com, and I mentioned that you need to do 3 of these paragraphs in order to work towards getting that top level for this question. We looked at this War of the Worlds extract and we discussed how the structure is used to obtain interest throughout that. So we went through that in detail, so I'm just going to skip through that right now. Okay, so we spoke about looking at the beginning, the middle and the end of the extract and writing a paragraph on each. And we looked at some useful sentence starters. So here we go. So some possible effects that you could use for your answers are some of these, and some of these will apply to most sources. So if you can learn these, then when you go into the exam, it makes your life that little bit easier. So we can have to create empathy or sympathy in the reader, to create shock, to create a sense of nostalgia. Drama and suspense, particularly useful to remember, often comes up. Often an extract will be structured in a certain way to make you feel, particular tension or to increase the drama or suspense at that point in the source. To make the reader feel horror or fear, obviously important to gain crucial information. To emphasise a sense of confusion in the characters, and therefore obviously if it makes you feel confused, then that mirrors how the characters are feeling. They can also use structure for entertainment or for humour, or to emphasise an idea or theme. Now obviously there are other effects that you could consider, but those are just some general effects that you can learn, and they do often apply to the sources that you would be given in the exam. So the way I would structure a paragraph for this question is to do point, quote, explain. So in your point you answer the question, so you actually tell the examiner what structural feature you've managed to highlight in the source that you've been given. So if we focus on the War of the Worlds extract, here I've said at the beginning of the extract, so I've used one of those sentence starters, the writer focuses on the description of the cylinder. Okay, so the structural feature is focus on the description of the cylinder, emphasising its non-human attributes. Okay, so the structural feature is focusing on description at that point in the source. Now, you can quote for this, but basically what you do is you need to explain how that structural feature appears within that part of the source. So here I've said the thing is described in detail along with the precarious situation that the character at this point unknown is in. So we don't know who the character is, but we know that the focus on the description of the thing heightens that tension. Okay, so in our explanation we're going to discuss how that focus on the description of the thing really has an impact on you as a reader. So I've said this is a particularly dramatic opening to the extract due to the fact that both the thing and the main character are enigmas, so we don't know anything about them, leaving the reader with numerous unanswered questions. So that is an effect on the reader. So the fact that you're leaving your reader guessing, and also that it's increasing the tension and the drama of the source. The chilling, detailed descriptions contained within the first paragraph create a sense of fear within the reader. So I've also said that those detailed descriptions create a sense of fear, so we've got another effect put in there. they are left confused as to who the faceless enemy is. So again, we've got another effect about the reader feeling confusion. So what we're doing is we're linking that structural feature of the detailed description at that point in the source, and we're linking it to specific effects within the reader. So, based on the information that I gave you in part 1 and part 2, I now want you to have a go at answering a question on your own. So, this question is based on the whole of the source, and the question is, how has the writer structured the text to interest you as the reader? Okay, and the text that I'm going to give you is The Tragedy of Pondicherry Lodge, which is a chapter taken from the Sherlock Holmes novel The Sign of 4, and you can get this extract from my website acaexams.wordpress.com. And this is the extract that I got you to practice for question 2 as well. So if you've already done the question 2 video, then you will know this extract very well. Okay, so this is the extract. I want you to have a go at that question. How is the source structured to interest you as the reader? Looking at the beginning, the middle and the end of that extract, considering how that structure has an effect on you as the reader. Okay, and once you've done that, there is also a top-level sample answer on my website that you can download, and I've colour-coded it for you so that you can easily see how each of my paragraphs fits the point, quote, effect of structural feature flow chart that I gave you in part 1, okay? So I'm not going to go through that in detail now. You can read that in your own time, but have a go at that question on your own. If you struggle, have a good read through this sample answer, look at how I've structured it, look at how I've directly linked the effect on the reader to the structural feature that's used. Okay, that's the end of this video on question 3 on paper 1. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel, as I'll be adding videos for each of the questions on the GCSE English Language Exam for AQA. And if you have any specific questions, you can follow me on Twitter at AQA Exams and tweet me those questions and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for listening.